If the air is coming out of crypto, SPACs, NFTs, is all of that good news for stocks? Do money go back into the markets in that fashion? Reaction now from Pacer ETF President Sean O'Hara and former Dallas Fed advisor Danielle DiMartino Booth. Danielle, let me begin with you. I mean, it makes me nervous if one person, i.e. Elon Musk, has a good day or a bad day and he tweets something about a cryptocurrency, it can have a huge impact. Yes, we know it's volatile, but I don't know if I like an investment that is so reliant on one person's or a couple of people's tweets. What say you?
I think that is very problematic. And the Wall Street Journal actually had a very good story that came out yesterday that said, in the past, investors looked up to individuals such as Peter Lynch during the 1980s because he was able to choose investments that went up on fundamental, based on their fundamentals. We have Elon Musk, who, as far as I can tell, one person is just swinging around an asset class that grew to be $2 trillion in size just because of the personality cult that's followed him. The backlash has been equally severe, again, on social media, but it does go to show you that there is a lack of fundamentals driving a lot of the upside that we saw up to $65,000 in Bitcoin. And again, if one person can legitimize it, the question is, can that same person delegitimize it and look and other companies say, if Bitcoin's not good for Tesla, maybe I'm Joe Q, CFO, and I say, maybe it's not good for my company either. And then you start to get away from this legitimization that the market has really grabbed onto these last few months.
And Sean, one of the big attractions of the crypto crowd is the lack of government intervention, a decentralized system. But we've heard from Treasury and other U.S. officials, and now China, they're all wanting to tighten the restrictions to try and fight back against the money launderers and the scam artists. What's your thought on this particular investment space? Is it good to see a sell-off, create a more solid long-term investment base, if you like?
Yeah. Hi, Ashley. Thanks for having me on. I do own a little crypto. It's not a big part of what my overall portfolio is. I think the same bad actor, by the way, is driving crypto as is driving stock prices, and that's these central banks around the world printing money. It makes fixed income unattractive, so we have to find someplace else to put our money. That's driving the stock market in the near term, that and hopes of a recovery. And then long term, I view the whole crypto space as sort of a supply-demand thing. I think there's going to be more money over the next 5 to 10 years that will go into cryptos, especially as they become more legitimate, especially as institutions come in. If we ever get an ETF here in the United States, I think a lot of money will flow into that as well. And so I think you sort of have to be like a long-term investor with this, and you have to be willing to stomach some of the excessive volatility that goes with crypto in the short run. And so I think we're living through that right now, but it seems to have bottomed and is moving in the right direction. But over the long run, it's being viewed, I think, as a way to counteract the potential damaging effect of all these dollars or all this fiat currency that's been printed around the world. And at the end of the day, if that's what you're worried about, you might be willing to accept a little regulation or a little interference from the regulators in order to get what you really want, which is something that will be more stable or go up in value as opposed to watching your dollars go down in value.
Interesting. All right, going to get your thoughts on this. We're going to talk about Democrat Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer apologizing after apparently violating her own social distancing guidelines at a bar. A now deleted photo, of course it is, posted on social media, reportedly showing the governor sitting with about a dozen people at several tables pushed together. Whitmer says she and everyone she was with was vaccinated, but admitted she, quote, made a mistake. Watch this.
Was an honest mistake, and I have apologized for it. I think that we have specifically not gone forward and penalized businesses that are trying to do the right thing. It's those that have flouted and put people's safety at risk that, are the most concerning.
All right, Sean, I'll go to you first on this. Another example, I think, of Gavin Newsom, of course, but there have been others of do as I say, not as I do, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's rules for thee, but not for me. And these leaders are really undermining what could be the progress long term here. I I mean, I think the general public is getting weary of this. And we're getting weary of the lockdowns. We're getting weary of wearing the masks, especially as more and more of us get vaccinated. And so, you know, it's now time for them to stop making these mistakes, stop stubbing their toes with these horrible events, and get more consistent with the message. If you're vaccinated, somebody should come out and say there's probably no real reason why you should continue to wear your mask, much like Rand Paul when he was in that testimony the other day with Dr. Fauci. I think the general public would like to see more of that and less of you have to continue to act the way we have because we say so, but then watch these leaders violate their own rules, which they say are good for society.
You know, I just can't fathom it, Danielle. You know, these politicians, and Whitmer in particular, who's been very strict on COVID rules and keeping businesses shut down, goes out and does something like this, knowing in this era of social media, someone somewhere is going to take a picture. They tried to quickly delete it, but it was too late. I mean, not only is it frustrating, but for us in the public, it is just galling, is it not?
Well, there is a certain amount of hypocrisy going on here. From what I understand, the one group arrived, and then more arrived, and then more arrived, and they were all vaccinated. But again, Michigan was one of the hardest hit states. Most recently, we saw case counts and fatalities rise in Michigan. That's why there were more onerous regulations. And, you know, I've studied journalism in my life. I have a degree in it. If you're a public figure, then you're always going to be, even pre-social media, you're always going to be open for criticism and for scrutiny. And we all know, from my teenagers all the way to the governor of Michigan, we all know that somebody somewhere is always apt to be taking a photograph and that it can go viral at any minute. So she was able to count around the table, and she should have stepped back and said, you know what, I need to be a group of 6, as my own regulations require.
But she didn't. It's crazy. All right, Danielle, good stuff. Thank you.